guys, happy Baby Name Monday. I really hope you are well. My name is SJ and every single Monday here on YouTube I make baby name lists for inspiration, for ideas and to help you name your baby, because I know how difficult it is. There is such a huge backlog. So if you are naming a baby, go ahead and hit subscribe and then you'll get access to all of my videos. They're all in the description box below as well, my full backlist. I've got a few videos coming up where I'm going to be naming viewers' babies, so also stick around for those. I love listening to your real dilemmas, and a lot of them were around boy names particularly, and I've had this list kind of in my back pocket. It is hipster folk boy names. So this was actually one of the first ever name videos I did, and this kind of category sounds a bit weird. What is a hipster folk name? But for me, it's kind of folk is around like kind of like folk music, and folk music is very almost literary. It was a tradition. It was a tradition to kind of pass on stories through music, and they're very kind of rural life as well, kind of outdoorsy and rugged, bit nature-led, but with a kind of history. Folk literally means people, so it's kind of also just kind of historic names that sort of bring or evoke a place or a person, kind of. And then hipster, because they're names nobody is using yet. So I think I've got one that is ranked around kind of the 400 mark, but most of them are totally unranked. So they're a bit daring. I'd love for you to come in with an open mind and let me know in the comment section below more names you would add to this theme, because that's what we absolutely are brilliant at. You guys are such good baby namers. And then yeah, hit the bell so you don't miss when the naming viewers babies coming up, because I'm really busy writing that as well, but I just love this boy list. Okay, so the first name on this list is the name Larkin. So Larkin feels really perfect for this list to me. It's actually got kind of a gentle sound. You immediately think of the bird, I do, the lark, and with bird names being really popular, like wren in particular over the last few years, I feel like Larkin is almost a more restrained version of wren, and that was on so many of your lists. You're like, I love the name wren but can't kind of get it past my partner, but Larkin I feel really works. It's got that kind of surname as first name, and it's got that literary link as well with Philip Larkin the poet, and lark being a really great nickname because it's like a songbird like a wren, but it's a really gorgeous name. I think it's actually a very traditional name. It's been around for years and years and years, mainly used for boys, even though more recently it's become a feminine name as well. So would you put it in a boy or a girl camp? I like it for either, honestly, but I do think it works so nicely for a boy, and I feel like it's one that could work through their whole life. Another nickname for it, if you thought like lark is a little bit too much, is just Lars, which is the name I've always really liked, like a one-syllable short name. Lars, which actually means to wear a laurel crown as well. So that's another kind of lovely image that we have, you know, of kind of like, well, I think of midsummer and kind of, you know, that type of pagan festivals, but it's just a nice little thing, isn't it? The laurel crown and whatever association you bring to it. So you could have a little boy named Larkin who goes by Lars, and I think it is a really trendy name. There were only 3 boys named Larkin last year, so you'll be getting in really early with a great name as well. Well, how about the name Ledger? So there's probably 2 big things that spring to mind with that. Heath Ledger, the actor. You can see actually after he passed away the name did spike a little bit, but it's kind of been a name that, again, is a very historic name, which is why I think it really matches this list. And ledger actually means people, like folk, and a ledger was also for me really stood out because of the occupational name of kind of writing things down and being a kind of a bookkeeper, and that's what you can trace right back in history. So I think the name Ledger came all the way back, something like 1923. People were using it as an occupational name. So occupational names are basically like baker, miller, smith, all of those names that we're familiar with was being named after what you did. And so ledgers go right back. They could find that they used to kind of, you know, keep tally on things even back in like on old clay, and then that would be put away, and it was almost like a very primitive bank, and you would have been a ledger. And it also translates interestingly as spear tribe. So I don't know how the spear tribe people, maybe they were the first ones to kind of use their spears to write these numbers down. I don't know, I couldn't find that link. If anyone else knows, like, I'm not a historian at all, but I do just love looking into the history of names. So I think it's really fascinating and can really help you to kind of have a name with meaning that kind of slots into your heart a little more. I feel like it takes you from liking a name to loving a name occasionally. Ledger. So yeah, as I said, it's a really lovely one. I feel like it's got the kind of, you know, all the names that have been coming up through the ranks recently kind of like Jessie, Tommy, Hunter kind of fall within this hipster folk category as well. And Ledger really fits alongside those, I think, as a really strong name. Or how about the name Sorin? So Sorin, this way that I've spelled it on screen with the I-N, is actually a Romanian name, and it comes from old mythologies where Sorin means sun, which is really, really lovely. So this kind of, you know, the sun means, you know, obviously the giver of all things on earth, really, the bringer of life to earth, the sun. And sun names and meanings have been really growing in popularity, and star names. I've got a whole list. I'll link it below. But Sorin, I really like it. And you can also have the E-N ending. And it's linked to the feminine name Serena, which a lot of us really, really like. We're not really taking it over to the boy side as much. We talked about names like Silas, which means kind of like wood, and even most recently we saw that the name Salem is really soaring in America. God, that was a tongue twister. And now I'm talking about Sorin, so I feel like a lot of you would like it, but there were, I think, 4 boys named Sorin last year. That is all. It's got this lovely heritage to it. It's got this lovely meaning to it. What do you think of it? Do you think, well, it's a little bit out there, but I feel it's a really trendy, easy to say, easy to spell, not pretentious, but unique hipster folk name. Or how about the name Diggory? So I really love this name. I know somebody with a little boy called Diggory who is absolutely gorgeous. He's like this like real outdoorsy, rugged boy as well. And it just brings that to mind to me. But I love it because it's kind of got this poetic meaning where it means lost one, which I feel really kind of suits this whole sort of folky vibe of telling people stories and being interested in people and that kind of rural stuff. Diggory, it just sort of fits into me, and I just think it's a really gorgeous name because it's quite long. So you can also have Digby, which means in a ditch by a farm, but Diggory feels a little bit more potentially special to me. Of course, it's got Harry Potter connotation, so let's see if I can get my Harry Potter facts right. So it was his surname. I think it's Cedric Diggory. Is he Cedric? Oh, I really feel like I have to check because I always get these wrong. Yes, so it's Cedric Diggory's surname, but also it has Lion Witch in the Wardrobe connotations, which according to the internet is where the author J.K. Rowling got the idea from, because Diggory, Professor Diggory, was the name of the man who looked after the children who owned the wardrobe, and so apparently it was a little bit of a nod to, I guess, one of her favourite books, definitely one of mine when I was little. How much did you want that? I kind of wanted that wardrobe to be real, but also it would terrify me. If I was anywhere and there was a wardrobe, I was like, oh my god, Mr. Tumnus is coming. But I just really like the name Diggory. It feels romantic and outdoorsy, kind of musical as well. So yeah, ticking a lot of my boxes, but I do think it could be slightly divisive. So what camp do you fall in with Diggory? Veto or list it? It is the game we're going to play. And next up is the name Bastian. Bastian. So I've always thought actually that it was a shortened form of Sebastian, but apparently it is very much a name of its own, and correctly pronounced from what I've heard and listened to a lot, it's more of a 2-syllable, so Bastian, rather than Sebastian, where you would maybe pronounce it a little bit more, but obviously it depends from where you're from, and I'm from Wiltshire. Bastian. How would I say it? But I just really like it. I think written down it looks really special, and again just a little bit of a side curveball, so you're not going totally unique and out there, even though it isn't really ranked at the moment. Maybe it's totally unranked because I haven't put a number down. That normally means I can, but it's unranked, pretty sure. It's obviously very French in sound, but it's kind of mainland European. It comes from sort of everywhere, Spanish, French, Latin, and it meant from the ancient city of Sebastia, which I thought was really nice. I'm really into these kind of ancient cities, and the city still stands actually as a place you can kind of go and visit, which is like really lovely, like lots of ruins, so it feels very like an antique name that's rooted in kind of like society and ancient civilization, which is really, really exciting. And I also love the nickname Bass. I do really like it. Like, I know a Bass as well, and it's always been just really, really nice, a bit unique, a bit different, but again fits in with the kind of like handsomeness side of this name. I feel a bit heroic. What do you think of Bastian? So this is one that is ranked at the moment. This name is ranked at 454 in the UK, and it's the name Dante. So it's apparently particularly used with the Italian American community over in the USA. So let me know if that is right, Dante. But we're really into Italian names at the moment that are ending in O, and I feel like this is slightly different, and it means enduring. So it's got that kind of poetic, musical kind of side to it, storytelling vibe, a bit like Lost One and Enduring. To me, these names are kind of like hero names in a way. And of course Dante's Inferno links it to literature a lot, but it can in that sense make people think of it as more of a dark side of a name. Because of that poem. But I went onto a lot of forums around this name, or for all of these names. I always look at forums, and the one I really like is called BehindTheName.com, and you can look at rankings and ratings and all of that stuff, but there's also comments, and it's user comments, and a lot of the time it's people who are named that name, and I found it really, really positive over there. Most people who were called Dante really liked their own name, and then there was a bit of confusion over it because there's also Dante, and then there's Dante, so they are very similar. So people were saying you can get those muddled up, and they, you know, they feel very different to people named Dante or Dante, but I really like Dante. I think it's a really lovely name, really unique. Again, not too strange because Dan is such normally short form of Daniel. Nice way to honour a Daniel actually is to do a Dante. So what do you think of Dante? Does it feel dark side to you, too dark side, or just on the right side of kind of hipster? Or how about the name Sylvan? So Sylvan is really nice. It is a derivative of, is that right? Diminutive? I really need to learn my word for that because I always stumble on it. Of the Roman god Sylvanus, who is the god of the forest and the woods, and then it's kind of become Sylvan, which I love at the moment. So I love the nickname Van actually, but most people were saying on forum they go by Sylv, and I just felt like with the V sound, again, it's so strong for our girls. I feel like it's almost overdone for the girls now. Like I've got an Evelina, and there's so many Evelyns, Avas, Evs, like Evs, Evas. There's so many. It's sort of become very of now. Like I feel like it's going to be like that sort of, you know, name where you're like, you know, you have like real like 80s names. I feel like that, like anything with a V is going to be of very much of now, but I do feel like that trend could shift over to the boys really lovely, and I really like Sylvan. I think it sounds really, really cool. It's a bit like of a modern Stephen in a way as well. So again, not too out there and weird, Sylvan, but meaning forest, but a totally unranked name that you could really fall in love with. So let me know what you think of it. And I love Marlow. I have talked about the name Marlow before, but really for girls, I've talked about it before. It's actually Sienna Miller's daughter's name, and I loved it. It was on my name list for my daughter, but I really like it for boys. And when I looked at the meaning without the E on the end of it, it means driftwood, which I think is really gorgeous symbol, because, you know, you can really, that could really mean something to a lot of people. You know, it's a beautiful symbol in a lot of ways. Sort of feels like quite a romantic coastal outdoorsy kind of feeling to it, doesn't it, driftwood? And it's not that used, but also it's got the poetic side with Christopher Marlowe, who was a very famous poet. So it's got kind of a lot going for it. I feel like, you know, I was thinking of Disney as well because of Marlon, because Evelyn is obsessed at the moment with Finding Nemo and Dory, so yeah, a bit like Marlon. So it kind of got almost vintage vibes for me as well. I just feel like it's one that a lot of you will really like, because looking at a lot of your requests over the last week, it was for kind of like a name that felt strong enough and felt kind of, you know, like with the M is quite a strong name, like a Mark or a Marco, but it's just a Marlow, kind of adds a little bit of something extra special to it that makes it a little bit more epic to my ear. So let me know what you think of it. As I said, there were 15 boys called Marlow last year, so it's not right up there either, which I always think is a bit of a bonus. So next one is another wild card, and it is the name Ferdinand. So again, I know so many references to movies and stuff, it's hard to find a name with zero association. Some of these do, but Ferdinand, the reason I popped it on here is I loved the meaning of it, and it actually comes from like old Spanish origins. It means daring journey, and how cool is that? Like I never really knew that it meant that. You could obviously go Fernando as well if Ferdinand felt too kind of linked to the Bill, the Bill movie. But I just thought, the more I said it to myself, like if I was writing a novel, I would have a lead character called Ferdinand, and it really feels like kind of like period drama worthy, doesn't it? And it should be in a way, because it's a name also that was in the, I think it says like the Spanish and the Portuguese royal families, so it's kind of brought over and became quite an upper class name as well. So it's a really interesting one. Fern is a really cool nickname for a boy, more regularly known as a girl name. Average age of somebody called Ferdinand is 74, so it's kind of getting into that granddad cool vibe as well. But I really wanted to pop it on there and see, get your reaction on it. Ferdinand, do you know little Ferdinand? Would you think it is good? Like, you know, it could be Anders or Andy as a nickname as well. There's so many options with it. And I just feel like the meaning really made it feel different to how my first association or my first reaction to it could be. And the more and more you say it, it's like one of those that really creeps into your heart a little bit. So let me know if it does the same to you. And the last name I actually have is a Serbian name, and it's the name JAVOR. So it's quite nice, isn't it? It's really different. It's a little bit like Jasper and a lot like Jackson, which is the reason why I thought a lot of you would like it, because Jackson comes up on so many lists and people are like, I loved Jackson, it's too popular now. JAVOR, really different with the V, but I really like it. It means maple tree, which is such a lovely meaning. We love tree meanings, and a maple tree is a really interesting one because maple trees are like, they grow in a lot of places because they're known for their kind of ability to adapt and to grow across different continents and different climates. So they symbolise balance and they symbolise practical magic and things like that. And obviously the maple flower and the maple leaf has got lots of other symbols as well. So it's a really interesting one if that kind of means something to you. And the town is named after this town, which is so beautiful, like a real quintessential folky type of town. And I just think the name is unexpected, but really kind of got a lot going for it in terms of a unique name. It's a little bit hipster, a bit outside, a bit of an outsider choice, but not crazy. So those were my top hipster folk boy names. I'll see if I can find the very first one I did and link it below. It was very similar. Coming up, as I said, is going to be lots and lots and lots of naming your baby. So if you are a subscriber, you don't want to miss those, then hit the notification bell. Really want you guys to help me with naming those babies as well, because it's so much fun to do. And I will see you on my next video for all things baby names. Say hi in the comment section below and everything like that. Lots of love, guys. Bye bye.